we always talked about Tom and Beulah Harbison, we talked about Edna Harbison, and Uncle Billy, and Aunt Lucille, and blah, blah, blah. We got a mystery person that every person in this room is somehow connected to. You're either a direct descendant from him, or you're here with a direct descendant. He was born 133 years ago. He died in 1927. He left behind a wife of 36 years old. He left behind a son that was 14 years old, a daughter 10 years old, a son 8 years old, a daughter 6 years old, and a daughter 3 years old. This was Edna Harbison, my grandmother's husband, that was killed suddenly on May the 7th, 1927. She never married, never wanted another man in her life. And these 5 children are Malcolm Harbison, Mamie Harbison, Lehman Harbison, Medrith Harbison, and Elsie Harbison. These 5 children, what their lives would have been like had he'd have lived to see these kids grow up to be adulthood. Edna lived on the farm, helped the family together by farming, and she had help from her brother named German Stinson. Okay. Now, how did he get killed? He left, had the crops in, so May the 7th, 1927. He told Edna, I'm going to go squirrel hunting, take the dog, I'm going to look at the crops that are newly planted. And the last person to talk to him was his sister-in-law. He walked all the way back through his farm and meandered around, and he met his sister-in-law, talked to her a little bit. She's the last person who talked to him. He told her, farms, the crops are up looking good, the tobacco looking good. Edna and I should be out of debt by the end of the year if the crops continue to look good. Okay. Here is Elsie was 3 years old when he died. And here is a picture of Jimmy Harbison and his wife Edna holding his son Malcolm. On the back side of this is the newspaper clipping of his death. And I'm going to give this to Dawn. And Dawn, do you want to say something about Aunt Elsie real quick?
Oh.
You got 1 minute.
Oh, 1 minute. Elsie Mae had 3 children. The oldest was Robert Carlton. He passed away in 2014. His wife Shirley. And he himself had 3 children, Mike, Bruce, and Dawn. The middle child was Edna Faye. She is now living in Dallas, Georgia, and her daughter is Becky Rebecca, and the youngest is Ronald Kelly McDaniel. He passed away in 2018. He had 2 sons, Keith and Carrie. Carrie is in Tellico. Keith passed away in, I believe, around 1989.
Okay, the next child in that family was Medrith. Medrith was 6 years old when her dad died. Linda, would you say something about your family real quick? We've got 30 seconds.
Right. My mother used to tell me that she did remember that day. I don't know what you remember as a 6-year-old, but my mother married Odell Booker. They had 3 children. The oldest was Linda Ray, who died as an infant at 9 months old. I'm the middle child, whatever that means for middle child, and their youngest child was my brother. You know him as Billy Bob, William Robert Booker. My parents lived to celebrate their 50th wedding anniversary, which was just a few months prior to my father's passing away. There are 2 grandchildren in our family. Bill has a daughter named Jessica and a daughter named Shanna. Jessica is married to Chuck Daniel. They have 2 children, Zeke Daniel, and Amani Daniel, and Love, a third child, Micah, who is from a previous marriage. So 3 of the Daniel children. So, you got anything else you need to add, Bill?
No, that's- You or Lehman. Lehman. Lehman, one of you.
Okay,
Lehman was 8 years old when his dad died.
so Lehman was married to Vivian Swayze. They had 2 daughters, Virginia, who's over there, and her sister Loretta, who passed away in 2019. I think it was 2019. My mom, Virginia, had 2 daughters, Mary and Liz. Mary is married to Glenn, has a son, Luke, who is somewhere around, and he is married to Brittany. I have a son, Zachary, over there, who's married to the lovely Carrie. And Jordan is my youngest son. Loretta had 4 kids. There's Shelley, Natalie, Christian, and Aaron, and they have assorted children and grandchildren. And that's it.
Oh, you have that.
Oh,
Okay. I'm gonna skip Mamie and go to Malcolm because Malcolm has no descendants. Malcolm was 14 years old when his father died. And he stepped up and helped his mother, being the man of the house, raise some crops, and etc. Malcolm died in 1980 at 73 years old. And he has 4 children. The second in the family was Mamie Davidson, Mamie Harbison, my mother, and just for real quickly, all the descendants of Mamie Davidson, raise your hand. There's several. Mamie Davidson was great push to keep family together, etc. Now I'm gonna go back to when Jimmy passed away. He left home to go squirrel hunting, told his wife, "I'll be back for supper." The dog showed up a few hours later by herself. She began to rent. He's always prompt. Edna was always prompt about having dinner. He didn't show up. She got out and started ringing the dinner bell. No phones, no communication, no automobiles. Family began to gather around. The men got together. They went 2 by 2 to look for him. They put an older man with a younger boy, and Harry Overby, who was about 35 or 40-ish years old, was with Hardy Dudley. Hardy Dudley was about 17 years old. They found him Saturday night about 11 o'clock. They had an inquest of 10 people, 10 men, looked the accident over and determined it was an accident. He was on one side of the fence, the gun was on the other side of the fence. The hammer was on the outside, the old type guns, and my assuming he reached to get the gun, to put it over the fence, and the hammer hit part of the fence or a limb and hit him in the chest and killed him. He had 3 squirrels with him, left the family, 5 kids at home. That was Saturday night. Someone went to Dixon and what they call a hack, that's a wagon pulled with a little seat in the front of it, picked up a coffin, brought it back. He was buried Sunday afternoon at Missionary Ridge Baptist Church, along with it, and his wife is buried there. Grandma, as I call her, little granny, as some people call her, was, a stability in the family. But just think, had he had lived, what those 5 children, how it changed their lives. None of them went to high school, and they all were successful. And those 5 kids all got along and got together. Is my time up?
yep. Nice job.